Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I'm Denise Killian with Trainertainment, and we're so pleased to have you here. Before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors for 2025. We couldn't do what we do without them, so we definitely appreciate them for allowing us to bring you Think Tank Thursday each and every week. Trainertainment likes to take a break from doing and spend a little time thinking on Thursdays. So this week, we're going to be talking about group sales. It's something that is really important for your center, but can seem a little overwhelming and daunting. So we're going to speak to Amber Lambert today with Betson to talk about how to get group sales going in your center, or give it a little update if you're struggling to meet your group sales goal. So let's get started. Amber, welcome to Think Tank Thursday. I am so thrilled that you're here with us. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you because you have such a wealth of knowledge. But for those people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Betson, and a little bit of your history.
So I actually got started in this business building my own family entertainment center from the ground up. I operated it in a smaller area for about 5 years. I ended up losing my lease, but I learned so much from it. I call it the School of Hard Knocks. So I like to teach people a lot about what I learned from my mistakes and successes. I very involved in the industry. I worked for a major game card company. I worked for a corporate-owned family entertainment center, and now I love working for Betson. We do, arcade sales, and I love building game rooms for people and helping them make more money.
That is fantastic. And that's what it's all about, right? How do we learn? How do we grow? And it's why I love talking to you, because I learn so much whenever we have you on Think Tank, or you're on one of our webinars as a panelist, is you have the experience both as the operator, you have run a center, you have done those things, you know that life, but then you also have this amazing experience as a provider of services for our operators, and you know how to tailor things to what they need because you've been there.
Yeah, I consider myself like an FEC grandparent where, I get to play with the kid and then give it back to the parent when I'm done with it. So now I get to see everybody's children instead of just my own. So
That's perfect. I love it. I love it. So today we're going to talk about group sales, which is something that a lot of folks find very, very challenging or overwhelming. And they're not quite sure where to start, how to do it, or how to be effective at it. So we came to you to talk about those group sales, and how you can be more effective, because it is something that can be 20 to 30% easily of your revenue when it's done right.
it's so much easier, especially to fill your slower times with large groups, and also to market to those groups that are already in your center than it is to try to get the onesie twosies off the street.
That's it. That's exactly it. So first, we got to identify our target audience and understand who they are. So in your experience, what is that target? What does it look like?
It's different for everybody. I mean, are you in a community where there's bar mitzvahs? Are you in a community where there's a lot of, tournaments and sporting events? Do you have, quinceañeras in your area? So it really depends on your actual area that you have your family entertainment center. So you really have to know your community and what they're celebrating, because you're the place that they're going to want to celebrate those special events. So you have to know what those are.
Beautiful. And how do you, aside from knowing your community, which I think is the most important thing, I talk about that a lot with the groups that I get to work with, is that we should be out there and a part of the community and not just expecting people to walk in the door. We've got to be out there and being a part of the community. So what are kind of your best thoughts on how to do that for a center?
I mean, you probably have certain people having their own parties at your center. So what are they celebrating? So just being observant to what they're celebrating and just talking to people, say, hey, what kind of, you might be in a very corporate heavy area. So maybe you need team building events. Do you have schools nearby? So all of that is in your demographic. So just really knowing who is around you and who's coming to your center and maybe who's not coming to your center and why.
Perfect. Right. And it's that paying attention.
Yeah,
When we have our head down and we're just worried about how's redemption doing, what are our overages on our head count or our overtime pay, right? When you're just paying attention to all the important things that you need to do to run a center effectively, but you don't put your head up and take a look and talk to the people who are coming in, you're going to miss out on a lot of things.
yeah, I really struggled with that transition from working in my center to on my center. So that was a really big, I was at one point mopping the floors and I noticed my employees watching me and I was like, why am I doing this? They should be doing this. Like I should be building those, I should be doing stuff that only I can do, not doing stuff that I could hire somebody to do.
That is such an important point that I talk about a lot. Say it again for impact.
It's better to work on your business than in your business. Hire people to do the things that you can hire to do and do the things that only you can do. So, it's great to, we're going to talk about hiring a group salesperson, but not everybody can do that, right? But, if you're a small center, maybe you are that person, right? And that's okay. But you probably shouldn't be the one counting the tills, right? You should have your managers doing those things.
That's it. That's it. I love it. Speaking of hiring your group sales coordinator or salesperson, what does that look like? What are you looking for? Because you mentioned not everybody can do this.
Yeah, I mean, so not everybody has a budget. It is a very important role. So if you can, or even if it's a part-time person, somebody that you can incentivize with quotas, I can tell you from experience, salespeople are motivated by money most of the time. So having those sales quotas, but you want somebody that's outgoing, somebody that maybe has some party planning experience. And this person may already work for you. You might have like a party host or planner that you can train into that role and send out in the community to get those group events.
And it's finding that person who isn't afraid to pick up the phone, who isn't afraid to walk up to a stranger that's in the center and talk to them, right? It's that outgoing personality that also has some drive and likes a challenge, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't have somebody afraid to pick up the phone. And that is a difficult challenge today, right? There's so many people that it's just so easy to text or so to find somebody that's not super scared to pick up that phone and have a conversation is more challenging than it used to.
Yes, yes. And, there is value to emails, there are value to text messages. But when you're trying to do the group sales process, you got to be able to talk to someone.
It's so much harder to say no to somebody to their face than it is in an email.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've identified this person who is outgoing, who is tenacious, who likes a challenge, is going to keep going, right? You've got that person. You've figured out what your target audience is, whether it's we're going to hit corporate or we have 17 churches and a 3 mile radius from our center. Let's go after them. Or we have a very large uh, Latino community and there are quinceañeras all the time. Why aren't they coming here? Right? You've identified that, you figured out your target audience. Next comes what are you selling them? So, how essential are the packages that you're selling?
I think they're very essential, and I want to make a point with a cheesecake factory. Don't have a cheesecake factory menu of options. Nobody loves that. Like everybody loves cheesecake, but nobody loves their menu, right? It's just too much. You want to have the max 3 options. You can have some add-ons and some customization, but you want to make it really easy for them. And even in those options, you can make your pricing and the packages kind of direct them towards the one you want them to buy. So, when you're doing those packages, sometimes you're making the most off the middle package. So that's the one you're directing them to buy based on what you put in it and your pricing. It's that no-brainer where it sells itself.
And with packages, this is something that I talk to centers all the time about when they're crafting and creating them. Um, Packages shouldn't be like 50% off the walk-in price, right?
No, no. And honestly, I am anti-discounting, so I love to add value. So I'd rather say, hey, you get extra this or that with this package because you're bringing us all these people, offer pullback promotions, things like that, that get those people back in. So give them added value, but try not to discount your product. Sometimes you have to a little bit, but for very large groups, but if you can add value, it's much better.
Yeah. And ideally you want, and I love the Cheesecake Factory analogy, by the way, because it's so true. You go to the Cheesecake Factory and they give you a binder that is this big and it is overwhelming. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And so having that, we like to say the good, better, best, right? You've got the three packages. Yes, you can customize that to make it unique for whatever this group is looking for, but let's not make it insane and have a crisis and a stress anxiety attack for our customers to figure out which one should it be, what, how, right? Have those three packages, and then your salesperson can walk through and help customize it so it is exactly what they're looking for. If they don't want pizzas, they want the wings instead, right?
Yeah,
We can
it's
figure
not
that out.
black and white. Like you don't want to be so strict to your packages that somebody wants something and you're not flexible. So it's just giving you a good starting point without it being overwhelming.
That's right. That's right. So when we have those three packages, that good, better, and best, and we get that identified, we get that going. When the group walks in the door, what do we do to make it different from if they just walked in the door as a customer without a group? Like, right? How do we differentiate those two? What does that look like?
Well, I'm sure most of our audience has been to an event at IAPA. They have, if you go to any of their group events, they have the most amazing greeting people, right? So everywhere you go, they're holding signs, they're clapping, you're walking through, people are giving you high fives. So that's the kind of experience you want your guests to experience, right? They're delivering on that experience and showing you, hey, they need to feel like, I'm gonna age myself here, but like a Cheers, right? When you walked in and everybody's like, Norm, right? That's what it should feel like when you walk into the center, right? They should feel like they're coming home. And that's the feeling that is going to make them come and spend more money and come back to your center.
And so that from the second that they walk in, they feel like they're VIPs,
Yes.
right? So if you've got the opportunity to have a separate space, if you have the private rooms, those are
Mhm.
always great. If it's a company, I like to encourage people to put that company's logo up on some of the boards around the center.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a game card company system, you can put their logo on the readers. You can set that up in 3 seconds. So if you have a corporate event or a, quinceanera, you can have that rotating, that image rotating on your readers or on your kiosk screens or anywhere that you can have a personalized touch or a shout out. You've got a PA system. Shout out to the group, man. People love hearing their name.
They love hearing their name. They love hearing their company. If it's a team, they love hearing their team, right? Go Bulldogs. They're going to get all excited. And it's those little touches that elevate the experience.
And I think everybody's been to different like buffet style events. And if you look at the ones that are done really well, they have like different tiers. They don't just set everything on a table, use, some napkins and, you got to make it visually appealing. Everything has to be Instagram worthy these days. So the visual is more important than the actual taste anymore.
And I love that test, right? Is this Instagrammable? If your setup is not Instagrammable, maybe you should think about doing something and adding those little touches, right? If it's a baseball team coming to celebrate the end of their baseball season, you can go off of Amazon and get some pretty cheap little baseballs to, you know, put around the room or something like that, right?
If you're not creative, have your staff have a little competition and say, okay, I'm going to give prizes to whoever sets this room up the best, and have them come up with some creative ideas.
I love that idea. I love that idea. Because listen, I'm going to age myself now. You said you're aging yourself with cheers. I'm going to age myself. I'm not on the Insta, right? Like I don't get a lot of that. So I know I am not the person to determine what is Instagrammable or not, right? But I know I got people that work with me in the on my team that definitely do. So utilize who you have inside your facility to help elevate, right?
Absolutely. There's so much. I think a lot of times we overlook the talent that we hire, and um, we hired them for a reason, right? And then we just kind of, I don't know if we look down on them or what happens, but you just, they bring special skills and talents that you don't even know. And so, you just always have to be open to learning from even people that work for you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Outstanding. Okay, so how do you market to these folks once you've identified your target audience, you know your community, is it corporate, is it churches, is it high schools, is it middle schools, is it right, quinceañeras, bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, right? What is it? Um, or a mixture thereof, probably for the majority of places, you're going to have a mixture of that. How do you market to those groups? How do you get them? How do you find them?
Well, I mean, I think first, if you go back to what we were talking about delivering the exceptional experiences, that's a marketing in itself. So if you knock it out of the park, they are going to be a word of mouth for you. And it's also a great place at the follow-up of the event to say, hey, do you know anybody else that you think would be interested in this? Because most people that are in certain groups, they know those people in those groups. So, social media. So if, my kids are into softball, so there's softball communities on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. So getting involved in those and saying, hey, we, offer a end of season parties for your teams. Um, just targeting those specifically. But I would say that, having an event and just killing it is the best way to market to anybody. It's the cheapest way to market to anybody.
Yeah. And asking that follow-up question too, because even if you're doing birthday parties, depending upon the age of the birthday kid, there's going to be more parents than just the parents who booked the party there, right? And having those conversations, because guess what? Those parents work somewhere or are involved in different groups and organizations. And when we just take the time to have that real quick, hey, would you be interested, or do you know someone who might be interested in hosting an event here? We'd love to talk to you, right?
You could
Just that
offer
simple question.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could offer a referral incentive. So you could say, hey, we'll give you a discount on your next booking. Or also if you're doing things like Christmas parties and holiday parties, things like that, book it for the next year. Say, hey, we book up. Let's go ahead and get you on the calendar for next year, right? Like don't wait until November to book that. Like book it while they're still having a good time.
And it's fresh in their mind and they're all excited because they feel like the VIP because you've put extra time and attention into making them feel special. They're going to come back, right?
Yeah, but yeah, just knowing what, your audience is, I think it still goes back to that. If you're going after adults, you're obviously not, going to be calling schools. If you're in a younger audience, then you want to look for camps in schools and what are the PTAs doing, and how can you get involved? It's like you should be part of your community, and that's part of your job as a owner or manager to get out there, not to mop your floors or count your tills. That's not your job.
That's exactly right. And one thing that I always encourage sales folks is with groups, it's not, think about the levels. If you think about, if you're going to go after high schools, for example, how many organizations are in every high school?
Oh,
A
so many.
billion, right? Right? So it's not just, oh, we want to get the ninth grade to come do a party here. Think about, my goodness, there are some high schools that have 2 or 3 freshman football teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 different groups, right? Even within a football, the O-line moms have parties and things for the offensive line, their kids that are offensive line, the defensive line guys, right? The special teams. Like it's not just the one and done. Same for churches, same for companies, right? It's not just the whole company. How many departments are in that company? And maybe you don't get the whole company for your first swing, but maybe you can get the sales team to come. And
Right.
the sales department comes in, has a great time. Guess what's going to happen?
They're
The
gonna sell
other
that.
departments want to come, and before you know it, right, you've got multiple things. So it's not just about, well, I talked to this one church or this one school or this one company, and they said no. Think about different layers beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Amber, this has been fantastic. And I love really, it starts with understanding your community. And your packages have to be about your community, right? If your prices are out of reach, that's going to be a problem, right? You need to know your community. If
Even dates and times. There are certain groups that doesn't, they don't celebrate things on certain days or they don't go out on certain days. So knowing those things is really important.
Absolutely, right? And from that, getting the right salesperson in is huge, huge, huge. Making sure your packages are in line, and packages are not a deep discount, by the way. Um, and but they're aligned to be the starting point to bring those groups in that you can certainly customize, but you want a starting point. 3 is that good magic number there to have that starting point. Make sure that once your groups get there, that they have an unbelievable experience, that they feel celebrated, they feel honored, they're excited, they feel welcomed. You're really making them feel special when they come in the door. And that's going to help you so much with the marketing piece as well. So I love this. This is wonderful advice. Thank you, Miss Amber. It is time for our Think Tank Thursday question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we like to grow here at Trade Entertainment, and we're believe in growing ourselves and growing others. So we always like to ask our guests who are on Think Tank Thursday, what do you do to grow yourself?
Ooh. Well, when I go to trade shows, I tend to try to go into as many sessions as I can. It's harder on the vendor side of things, but I want to learn from as many people as I can, and I try to just keep an open mind. There are lessons everywhere. Even in failures, there is always a lesson.
That one's my favorite. I have learned so much more from failing in my life, both professionally and personally, than I have from the succeeding, right? So learn from that, pick yourself up and move it along, right? I love that. That's great. Amber, how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
So A Lambert at Betson.com. I'm on all the socials. I am pretty much everywhere. You can always see me in a trade show and come say hi. I'm not super scary. And you can go to Betson.com if you want to talk about games or arcades. We're all over.
Beautiful. And Betson does more than just, hey, we have this game and we have this arcade, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We're a, one-stop shop. We have financing. We help with game techs. We, do um, parts. We have, we're kind of everything. So, yep.
Beautiful. All right. Well, Amber, as always, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. And I love your ability to take things that may seem overwhelming and complex and just break them down into, hey, here's it. This is it. Here's the simple things that you can do. So, and makes it like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. So thank you for that. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Amber. I always love talking to Amber because I learned so much from her and her experience both as an operator and on the service side is so valuable. So I appreciate what she has to offer. And I love is it Instagrammable to really bump up your customer's experience when they come to your center for a group experience. So if it's not Instagrammable, best get on that. Thanks to Amber, and thank you to all of our sponsors. Again, we appreciate them because they help us bring you Think Tank Thursday each and every week. If you have a Think Tank idea, I'd love to hear from you. Just send me an email at denise@trainertainment.net. Or if you have an idea or like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode of Trainertainment's Think Tank Thursday. Remember that the journey to success is all about growth. And here at Trainertainment, we're committed to helping you and your company thrive. So visit trainertainment.net to learn how we can support your growth journey for yourself, your team, your business by setting up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Or come see us in person. Our full schedule of events is under the events menu at trainertainment.net. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.
Playthrough is an online scoring system for mini golf courses. Simply post a QR code near the first hole. Golfers scan it with any mobile phone, add their golfers, and start entering scores. They can easily view their group leaderboard or the course leaderboards. Playthrough also includes features like whole sponsor logos and whole transition ads to help grow your business. Visit playthroughmini.com to see what else Playthrough can do.